huge week of news. And here to discuss it all, I'm joined by Amanda Rose, the founder of Small Business Women Australia. Morning, Amanda.
Good morning.
Well, Medicare, it's everywhere this morning. Big focus on the possible overhaul of Medicare. For many people, the soaring cost is out of their reach to just see a doctor for basic needs.
Yep. And also, if they can't get into the doctor, they then go to the emergency department, which then, you know, the hospitals can't cope. Look, Medicare, unfortunately, I feel that no government has really cared enough about the people to invest enough in Medicare. The fact that you can't even get dental, and there are serious issues, especially homeless people, people lower socioeconomic areas, can't go to the dentist. And I hope this overhaul actually means that they're going to provide more benefits and rebates. Because people actually, I know people that do not go to the doctor in my community simply because they cannot afford it. And if you've got 3 children and they're all sick, you need to take them, they're paying per child, that's their food money for the week.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's pain out there for sure. Now, focusing on Australia Day, you're an ambassador during the week. Tell me about that.
I was. So Burwood Council asked me to be, well, actually government asked me to be an ambassador, and I picked Burwood Council because it's in the local area. And really it's just to encourage, you know, new Australians coming to this, I think, the best country in the world. But also I had the opportunity to communicate to them that we are one big family and that they're welcome in this family and that we all should be getting along, because often you'll find around election time or when there's something that needs to be voted on, they like to divide and conquer the community. And I think it's important to remind everyone, including new Australians, we are one big family and we need to stick together and work together.
Absolutely, and it's good messaging.
Yep.
The issue is the day itself. Can it last as January 26? It causes a lot of pain for a lot of people. Should it be moved?
Look, I actually think that if a group of people want it to be moved, then they should be able to move it if they want to move it, right, for themselves. If other people don't want to move it, then they can celebrate it. And I actually think this should be across all public holidays. So, you know, if Australia Day, and you've got to understand that this is genuine pain for some people, and fair enough. So they then should be able to move it for their community or for the people that choose to, and then others don't. And that would actually work if we actually had all public holidays that you could pick and choose. That would actually take the burden off small businesses that have staff shortages during public holidays. So people don't always celebrate Christmas, then why are they forced to take the Christmas holiday and Easter and so forth? So I think there's pros and cons to each public holiday, but I say, you know what, if you don't want to celebrate on that day, then don't.
What about the dramas in Alice Springs? Should the blanket alcohol ban come back in?
This is interesting. So I'm not a fan of bans purely because they want to just fix the problem without looking deeper into it. So when you're looking at addiction, where it's alcohol, drugs, gambling, what's the underlying issue? And it's a lot harder to go into a community and spend time, money and effort to genuinely care about that community, say, what do we need to change with social infrastructure and, you know, the right mentors and the right system to make sure that they change their behaviours. Just saying, sorry, you can't drink alcohol, they'll try something else. Or, you know, why is it that they're struggling? Let's go help them at the core instead of just saying, we'll just legislate a ban, end of story, fixed.
Well, the greatest initiatives, Aboriginal initiatives in this country, tend to be the ones where it's built from the ground up with the people themselves. And look, it's a difficult one. Alice Springs is a very, very difficult issue. We saw the Prime Minister travel there during the week. We're going to talk to Kieran Gilbert in Canberra shortly, because a big part of their show is devoted to that today, also to the voice to Parliament. It continues to be a tricky sell for the PM. It
is, and it shouldn't be a sell. It's simple as that. You shouldn't have to sell something that is genuine. The problem here is no education on the information. No one I know can actually tell me exactly what it's about, and that's the problem. So we shouldn't have to spend hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars campaigning to convince the community to say yes, and if they don't say yes to something, then they're horrible, hateful people. We should be saying, you know what, this is an education, system or program that we can actually say, if you vote yes, this is what it means. If you vote no, this is what it means. But you also don't forget how much money is spent on a referendum when the government may even just legislate it if they don't get what they want. So it's kind of, in a way, like a big show, because if they don't get a yes vote, then they haven't ruled out actually legislating it. And if that's the case, why don't we just go straight to legislation, spend that money on helping the people, Medicare, and also people in Alice Springs.
What about the New South Wales government? You were obviously an ambassador during the week. They're very much on the election trail, aren't they, both the government and the opposition?
Well, they are, and I actually think both of them are kind of missing the mark when it comes to what genuinely people care about. So electricity costs. So, women in Western Sydney, for example, over 1,000 that we surveyed, 79% are worried, are struggling with food costs. They're 77% are struggling with electricity costs. Let's fix that. Let's talk about that. Let's go back to basics. People want someone who's going to help them survive today, this week, this month. They're not so worried about 10 years from now and what's happening. Who's
going to win it, you reckon? Can you get the Amanda Rose crystal ball out? Is it going to be a Chris Minns government?
Knowing how politics works, I think there'll be some scandal probably a week before the election is going to tip it, because there is such a large percentage that say they're undecided. So our data puts Labor in the lead, but second to that is actually undecided. So undecided were previous Liberal voters that have turned undecided and they're not quite sure. So they could flip back to Liberal and then it'll be a very tight race.
So what any more in that data that you...
Oh, yes. So Greens are picking up in their popularity, and also 90% of women think there needs to be more women in politics. 30% don't know who their state MP is. 70% feel like the current state government aren't representing women, which is interesting because I would say more has been done for women through the Minister for Women, Bronnie Taylor, than any other state government.
We'll do it all again next week.
Yes.
Amanda Rose.